Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we're going to be taking a look at a game that was recently played on Tangerine, a remake of 5 versus 5 between some top tier commanders that was sent over on the the bar exclusive Discord, where we've got some of the best gamers. They use it a lot for practicing for tournaments and stuff, which by the way we'll be doing this weekend over on the live stream. I believe will be on the official Beyond All Reason YouTube channel, so feel free to drop by and check that out. But anyways, let's get into this game here today. Spawning as our red team leader, a red armada commander that goes by the name of Griko Baratko, going to be hailing at 49 open scale from Germany and showing us what they've got. Now, Griko Baratko spawning in the backline here, so going to be going for potentially a slightly slower build. Oh, okay, a bot lab. Interesting. So there's a lot of options here that we'll get into in a second. Let's go meet our blue team leader, and then we'll talk about that one more time. Our blue team leader here, spawning at 32 open skill, it's going to be none other than Rompy. SG Rompy going to be helping boost out a couple of constructors here. Interesting. Playing right alongside Teriyaki Tilo. So it's one of those things about the pros, by the way. You might notice already that the metal sliders are already down for the blue and red teams similarly. They're both sharing resources to the maximum. One of those things to be aware of is that these players are probably in a voice chat. They're probably communicating really effectively. And it means that I'm expecting a high degree of teamwork right here from each of these teams. Now, the reason this is such an interesting spawn back here is there's a lot of different options you can go for. So, one of which is going into the sea on the southern side over here. The other is going into the sea on this northern side. But of course, there's also loads of metal extractors to be claimed and 2 geothermals, if not this one as well, to be generously farmed for their geothermal energy and converted into either metal for the team or just used as a little bit of energy to power everybody. It's it means there's a lot of options here. There's a lot of potential right now in the red commander's future, so I'm excited to see exactly what we're going to go ahead and get into. We do also have a couple of res bots going out to reclaim these trees. There is quite a lot of these trees, so it makes a lot of sense. And my goodness, Hazard going for LLTs and some LLTs and maybe a couple more LLTs. The Great Wall of LLTs has been set up here. I suppose I don't mind it. Like, these LLTs definitely are going to stop any of the lighter units from pushing through. But 2 Rocketeers basically render this entire wall of LLTs inert. So I'm not entirely sure what the point is here. The blue team wants some cheeky strategies right now. Yeah, going for static defenses here on the front line. We've got a beamer turret, an LLT, and a heavy laser tower. And 40 light laser towers here. Oh, we are going to get a warden up and running as well. So, are we going for something cheeky? It could well be that we're going for some sort of very cheeky play. I do notice Soft Ice is playing in the air, so that's one option, of course, is getting those airplanes up and running and using them to try and further your advantage here. Yeah, this is a... This is a really, really weird way of playing this. Not a bad one necessarily. You can pretty easily guess that your opponent's going to go for bots here because there's so much reclaim to be had. Going for anything but bots, specifically for these res bots, is super, super risky. I'm just so curious what the strategy is here for the blue team. Yeah, we've got the warden up and running, and there we go. It's going to be able to blast down any of this, and of course those LLTs are great for dealing with any of the lighter stuff. We also have an amphibious constructor come out by the Cyan commander to go grab those mexes in the water. Very, very good to see. What is the approach going to be right here from C3BO, the yellow commander? Not the Star Wars commander, but the yellow commander here, hailing from the UK, and going to be getting into some good old-fashioned armada boats. Weird. Very weird all around. Unconventional, I would say, but very cool to see. It looks like the red commander is going to go ahead and go into a hovercraft lab. Interestingly, not prioritizing this geothermal. I would have expected that we rushed this geothermal and the other geo over here as well. Uh-oh. A little bit of accidental double mechs situation going on right here between the yellow and red commander. Probably just a miscue. I imagine that's a misplay, not some sort of BM or whatever. And the slowest duel of all time, Teriyaki Tilo running away from MVP. Now, there's a weird situation right here. This underwater laser beam does quite a bit more damage than the regular laser beam. There's sort of a weird situation where suddenly one commander is out of the water and firing with their regular laser beam. The other commander in the water is firing with their underwater laser beam, and they can actually end up doing quite a bit more damage to the other commander, the one on the retreat. It's kind of it's one of those weird interactions that you don't see very often. Hey, there we go, nice. A little bit of teamwork makes a little bit of the dream work. Just like that, torpedo launcher comes up and running and starts firing away once more. Ooh, Teriyaki in a very risky spot right there. Very, very close for the green commander. One more of those torpedoes would have spelled the death right now. Oh, Zek, repair. There we go. Repair micro on point right here between these 2 commanders, and so it will stay up and running. We've transitioned into boats. Okay, well, sure. Why not? The boats here supported by the commander, of course, and also by the laboratory. The units on the land also trying to do as much damage as they can. What a weird kind of situation we've got going on here. The purple commander with a frontline boat lab, the yellow commander with a frontline boat lab as well, and both of which trying to just get as much value as they can out of these earliest units. A couple of frigates on the field, and those are very dangerous for this destroyer to deal with, but I think the commander walking forward wouldn't be the worst idea. Now a destroyer hits the field for the purple commander, and that obviously marks a huge change in pace technologically here for this fight. Suddenly those depth charges can blast away at the commander of C3BO here. And it instills quite a lot of firepower into this composition as well with those high impulse condensed matter projectile explosives that thing slugs out of its long-range nozzle. C3BO moving forward with the comm. I do believe in some sort of a explosive threat right here against the purple commander. We've got the Admiral also stepping forward, building a metal extractor in the water as well as a radar tower, and there we go. We've got the vehicles up and running. So this was inevitable to go into vehicles here because we were just making fortifications and constantly setting up so that the vehicles had no way to, the bots rather had no way to push forward. It was necessary to pivot into vehicles. But the question is now, how is Rompy going to deal with this? I guess walls is going to be the name of the game here. Yeah, I mean, those vehicles can just shell away at all these static defenses, but at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to get through these walls until they end up blasting those down. Build power here to sustain everything, and Rompy is just buying time, interestingly. I wonder what the long game is here. Seekers. Assault hovercraft making their way across the map right here and managing to find their way into the backline right now of the Seafoam Green Commander. Very nicely done. One of these shurikens paralyzing itself somehow. Doing a wonderful job. Yeah, the Seekers managing to find the build power here as well. Ooh, very close. Very, very close to popping that build power. Doesn't manage to get it. 3 mechs is down. A couple of wind turbines. At the end of the day, was it all worth it? I'm not sure. Bombers on the other side of the map, meanwhile, here for soft ice. This was the air player who's being harassed by those hovercraft. Deploys the heavy warheads directly onto the wind turbines and, more importantly, onto the E-converters here of the yellow commander. There's also some prime E-converter opportunities right here for the red commander. These bombers are looking for any opportunity that they can find. Need a little bit more micro right here. I'd love to see these mechs bomb down. No reason not to kill those. This bomber doubling back to take out those wind turbines nicely. Bombs away. Anti-air firing away en masse right here, but there's nothing you can really do to stop those bombs from connecting. And so both, well, 2 of the 3 bombers go down. One of them just barely manages to escape. Ooh, never mind. Doubles back and gets shot out of the sky right there. But that is all of the E-converters down, and that means basically the entire economy of Greco Bratko falls here as well. Going to rush into the AGEO, interestingly enough. The yellow commander with the geothermal production and sharing that energy, of course, means that it's a decent situation. Wow. MVP with a MVP with a Navy lab on the water in the midsection of this map. What a ridiculous play. All right. Yellow commander, meanwhile, has lost badly over on the right-hand side. Hazard has just pushed forward, using these naval units to lock down this choke point on the right-hand side, and then using the commander to set up some LLTs to basically do the same thing. A little bit of build power here to assist a air lab, a seaplane platform coming up and running right now. We're doubling up on the mechs all over the place here. What a weird situation. The red commander with the constructor over here, mechs on all the spots, but nothing to actually kill those metal extractors. I think we need torpedo launchers right now. The red commander a little bit more focused on getting that economy upgraded. As you can see, those T2 constructors walking around and trying to upgrade as many of these metal extractors as possible. For 7 metal per second, it's not bad to get those upgraded. Yeah, I've got these constructors sitting idle over here. And it's a tricky situation because you have to spend so much money on essentially, like, you need a torpedo launcher is really the only thing that you can build to kill these metal extractors, but these are 170 metal apiece, 1,500 energy. They're very expensive is what I'm getting at, so it's a little bit of a strange situation because suddenly you just don't have really any very effective means of very metal efficient means rather of building all this. Here we go. Blue commander was building a gauntlet, has decided to pivot into a persecutor. The green commander dropping down the blueprint right there for the persecutor cannon so that the blue comm Rompy here can go ahead and dump all the metal into that. Not a bad idea whatsoever. As you can see, these commanders trying desperately to put as much metal as they can into this thing. This T2 static defense could save the front line from the harassment of this T1, but that really is only going to be so long. I mean, you can see this thing has tremendous range, capable of firing well past any of the defenses here that the orange commander has set up. But for the time being, yeah, I think this is the best bet. Dismantling those heavy laser towers and using that metal to actually pay for the Persecutor on the front line. Everyone trying desperately to get these units up and running. We do have some T2 metal extractors coming up in the back here as well. Using that one T2 con rather than producing extras. Well, we do have extras, but trying to get the most out of it by producing the blueprints all around the map and then having builders maintain the blueprints and then using that constructor to go expand in other directions. Not a bad idea whatsoever. This sucks, though. Yeah, these destroyers have so much range right here. There's not a lot that the Tan Commander can really do about it. MVP dismantling some of these boats as well, trying to eat up some of that metal that no longer matters anymore. Trying to utilize this lane here. And I think this is where the hovercraft should be going, no? This feels like a gigantic open lane directly into the back line of the blue commanders. Persecutor, now firing away here. Tearing down as many of these units as possible. Ooh, some torpedo bombers. Some torpedo gunships, rather, firing away here. Huh. Okay. I don't hate it. It's certainly a bit strange to see torpedo bombers being, or torpedo gunships, rather, being utilized to tear down a commander in the midsection of the map, but it's just the way Tangerine Remake is made, I suppose. Fighters shot down here by the anti-air turrets, but all said and done, not the end of the world. MVP loses a metal extractor and is forced to retreat the commander ever so slightly, but not, again, really the biggest deal. Persecutor firing high into the sky here, though, raining down a bunch of projectiles on top of all of the, on top of all of the units over here. This is one of the changes that was made recently. Well, I'm not sure exactly how recently, but it was made. January 2025. Artillery no longer has a high arc and a low arc mode. They simply will fire up into the air as they need to in order to deal with all this. Sorry, bombing run coming across. Probably more important here than high arc or low arc mode. The Seafoam Green bombers now tearing apart the base right here of the air commander, standing right behind the orange. That's going to be our tan hero Zek right there, being bombed to high heavens by just a whole bunch of these whirlwind medium bombers from the Cortex faction, dropping their light impulse warheads directly on top of, well, anything they can find. Wind turbines, build power, E converters, anything they can. But luckily the flak turret is up and running, and it will be enough to shut down those early T1 bombers. T2 economy is up and running, and it looks like we are going to be going into wind turbines still. So mass wind turbine plays right here for the red commander, finally getting into the geothermal, and I just can't help but wonder if having that regular geothermal on top of this would have been well worth it. At this point, it's too late to pivot into that. Just go ahead and go into the advanced geo. Extra 1,250 energy per second is quite nice. Upgrades that economy on a very, very exponential curve. Advanced geos coming up all over the place. And for what a pro-level game this is, I'm actually pretty surprised by the, I guess, the stalling here. Usually these commanders are so aggressive on the front lines, but this has been a game of static defenses if ever there was one. Hey, you can see all of these commanders right here setting up so many static defenses to make sure that these lines can't be pushed right here. And for what it's worth, the blue team does seem to be in a slightly better position for it. They now have siege units up and available on the front line in order to fire away. We've got a Tremor now shelling apart the base right now of the yellow commander. And of course we've got the Tremor on the left-hand side here, shelling away at the outer reaches of the orange commander's naval setup here. What exactly is our game plan right now? I'm curious. I'm really struggling to piece together what the game plan is for the red team right now. Looks like we do have a sharpshooter out and available, and the radar jammer has been damaged, so it's trying to recover that jamming field here. We did have a spybot. Oh yeah, there we go. Spybot is on the front line, so it's capable of firing away at this point. The sharpshooter, that is. We can see the sharpshooter's range. It's quite nice. Definitely long enough to engage these tremors, at least from a decent range. The tremor has way longer range, but obviously it doesn't have anywhere near that much sightline, so it actually can't tell what's going on over here. Or the fact that there's obviously these very dangerous, heavy-hitting units moving forward here. Sharpshooters, my goodness. Click, click, and boom goes the tremor. Nicely done. That's one problem solved right here, sparing the yellow base from destruction. And now with these two sharpshooters, this is going to be a pretty easy front line to disassemble. Yeah, trying to pick apart that commander, but frankly speaking, I don't think there's really any problem with just letting these things tear apart this front line slowly but surely. Every time that they click, one of these buildings is going to go away, and slowly but very, very surely, you'll end up at the enemy's main base. The answer in the meantime, at least for the red commander, is going to be a Sneaky Pete. One of the funniest named units or structures in this game. The green commander starting up a jammer tower here for the purple commander to sit underneath so that these sharpshooters can't actually fire away. Obviously, worthless in the face of the sharpshooter that is providing the line of sight vision right now for all of these, but the tick spam is going to be quite effective here as well. There it is. One tick. Hopefully we can put a welder. Oh, we've actually eaten up the T2 lab. Okay. Yeah, Yellow Commander actually eating up the T2 lab and now just going ahead and going into a fusion reactor and some E-converters on the front line. Little bit greedy, of course. That does put you in a tricky position here. Greco Bratko needs to set up some LLTs, or at the very least park the commander over here, so that the sharpshooter don't get killed by the cheapest unit in the game, just like they are right now. Yeah, uh-oh. There we go. LLT starts up. That is quite the swarm of ticks already headed into the base here, though. One tick is all it takes to kill your entire base. Alright, that's all out of me. Yeah, the tick swarm here can be really, really nasty. Important that we see this, yeah, commander being handed over back and forth here. Nicely done by the red commander. Honestly, it's a good move, because, well, the sharpshooters need to be protected, and the only unit on the front right here to protect them is going to be this commander. Might seem crazy to send out D-guns right there, but I assure you that was the right move. 20 or so ticks can kill a commander with, essentially if the commander is unresponsive or not paying attention or out of energy and doesn't have room for a D-gun, of course. Yeah, they can very, very easily kill a commander. It's one of those weird interactions that scales up a lot quicker than you would expect. 20 ticks does not cost very much. I would say probably 30 to 40 to ensure the kill, but I've definitely seen as little as 20 ticks kill a commander before. AGO's being pointed out here by the green commander, plotting a bombing run right now as this right-hand side continues to push forward. I think a line of LLTs marching forward wouldn't be the worst idea. Just anything to clear away that tick spam so that the sharpshooters can get within range of the laboratories, within range of the economy structures. Obviously, easier to say when you have the perfect vision and when you know exactly what the enemy composition looks like, but with the fog of war, it can be difficult to judge. The red force is looking gigantic, though, and my goodness, it's just hundreds and hundreds of fighters now sailing across the map right here, ready to engage against the Seafoam Green Commander's forces. A mess of a fighter battle here. Bombs are away. Honestly, not as much damage as I would have expected, yeah. Largely, those bombers were shot out of the air quite nicely right here by the T2 Highwind fighters of the Green Commander. Ultimately, I think it's going to be our red forces that actually take the win in the air battle here. That being said, those Highwinds are so effective. And the ground static defense is good too. Wow. I actually can't believe that. With superior numbers, far and away superior numbers, the red commander looked like they had that, but the AGO stood up and running. Maybe a little bit afraid of bombing the AGO with all the bombers, but I think committing to that, knocking out at least one of these air players here wouldn't have been a bad idea. Now those T2 fighters are the only thing left on the field, and it leaves the red team in a really precarious situation. Their air defenses are ruined. A little bit of a marauder play is what apparently we're going to be going for here. Louise B288 has done a great job of resecuring this midsection, though. Taking control of that means that Marauder can't really run by through there, at least not without being detected for a little while, and my goodness. About 1 billion ticks is the plan right here from the right-hand side. Apparently, we're just going to go into mass fabrication. The purple commander, now with 1 million ticks under his belt and about 1 million more on the way. I don't actually, think there's the tools to deal with that. You need welders, you need AoE, you need really, really good AoE tools. One of the best ones, obviously, being some of those, either Janus or the Pounders or any of those units that do a small but effective amount of AoE effect. Centurions are great anti-swarm, but they're really meant for a slightly higher caliber of unit. Things like Pawns and Grunts. Dealing with ticks is actually something that they struggle with when the ticks get up to this number. At the current point, it's about 400 or so ticks. This is a sea of ticks ready to jump on top of the yellow forces here. Do we spy this with... Yeah, we can see the amount of units right here has got to be daunting. Oh, this is a nice cursory use case for the sharpshooters. There we go. Yeah, blasting apart those oppressors. That's actually a great case right there. Those oppressor battleships are pretty difficult to deal with otherwise. A little bit of a visual glitch from that guy. Yeah, those heavy battleships or destroyer ships are very, very difficult to deal with. It makes a lot of sense to use those sharpshooters to actually kill those. Sharpshooters on the left-hand side blasting away this front as well. Rompy actually in a tricky situation. Luckily, there is some tick spam out here to waste the shots of those sharps. But this is always a little bit of a risky situation right now. I'm so surprised that we haven't taken advantage of this sea lane right here. A bunch of amphibious tanks crawling along the ocean floor and popping out on this side of the map would have been a wonderful use case there. Marauders avoiding the water right here. The Marauders want to dive right now, but they really can't commit to it without knowing what they're going into. A couple of these planes fly across right here. They will spy that Luis B's commander is right there. They'll spy what the front line is going to be dealing with. About 1 trillion ticks headed forward right here. There we go. Razorback being produced, and as soon as this is on the front line, the tick spam is essentially devastated. There's not really a lot that the ticks can do against the Razorbacks. My goodness, what a kind of beautiful visual right there. I just know the bitrate is plummeting right here as we speak. But how about 1 trillion ticks? 10,000 bats in your backyard. 624 to be specific for right now. A couple of Centurion on the front line, finding value here. You can see they're great against ticks. Two-shotting a tick with a fairly rapid-fire weapon, but obviously against 50,000. Whoops, sorry, Bombing Run takes out the AGO over here on the right-hand side. Heavy bombers, those Blizzard heavy bombers, managing to pop the AGO over here, shutting down a whole bunch of the build power, but not necessarily... Ooh, not bad. Not necessarily shutting down all of the E-converters and the energy production. The Salamanders here, though, ready to finish the mission. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Wonderful work from the Cyan commander, Luis B, building a whole bunch of these heat ray tanks and microwaving the red team to death, firing away with those heat ray beams, and making very, very short work of all the defenses over here. Suddenly, the red base is in jeopardy. We have a nuclear launcher. Uh-oh. Nuclear launcher, and it's almost charged. These heat ray tanks might have killed this backline, but that nuke definitely has some viable targets over here. But this is a tremendous amount of damage. Boom goes the AGO right here, taking out everything except for the nuclear launcher. The red team at this point holding on until they can get the nuke out. The nuclear launcher dies, but the nuke is away. Where did we put it? It looks like we headed it directly into the green base. Just shy of anti-nuke range right here. That nuke is headed forward. It's an Armada nuke. Boom goes the nuclear missile. Wipes out the green base as well as the AGO, but frankly speaking, there's nothing left here for the red team to hold on to. Their eco is in shambles. Tanks are streaming out of the laboratory on the right-hand side. All that production. Hundreds of tick bodies lying on the floor. It's going to be our blue heroes that manage to take the victory in this game beyond all reason. What a weird kind of a game between the pros, but it's always cool to see what kind of unique strategies that they can cook up. And if you're interested in seeing those, feel free to subscribe and join the Brightworks community, where we have these casts coming out just about every single day. We also have a Discord channel full of a lot of cool members that also contribute heavily to making this community great. So thanks a ton for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, and I hope to see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.